For engraving, I use a good dust respirator, full face shield, earplugs, and gloves. Also, it takes a constant presence of mind when doing this type of work using an angle grinder. There's no daydreaming allowed. Here's some of the tools and equipment I use. I use a good quality 4-inch angle grinder, but in a pinch, any angle grinder will do. The blades I use, shown at the beginning, are a 5-inch turbo blade, a 4.5-inch, and then a 4-inch turbo blade. These give really a fine line, and also the smaller blade is a 2-inch. This is great for tight turns. But my favorite blade of all is the 4-inch crack chaser because it doesn't chip the edges of the concrete and leaves a really crisp line. Before cutting the line, I use a cheap hairspray to hold the lines in place. This keeps the lines from being blown away by the grinder blowing, also just from brushing the surface and moisture. When engraving concrete, there are several different ways to start cutting a design. I like to first warm up with a scrap piece of concrete. This gets me ready for the job at hand. Shown here, I'm cutting one side of the design that will make a repeat template mirroring the other side. Normally I cut the outline first, then followed by the smaller detail cuts. Being able to score one line into another just takes practice. Also, it's good to have skills in being able to patch unwanted areas that you cut, camouflaging with acrylics. But that's another video, and we'll get to that another time. An interesting effect I use at times, I will paint an area and then draw the lines, could be shading lines. Next, take my grinder and I grind these lines, removing the paint. This gives it a really sharp, crisp look, showing the exposed concrete against the painted areas. Making templates are very easy and inexpensive to do. The techniques that I'm using are just old sign maker techniques. Very accurate repeat patterns, mirrored images, running borders can be made quickly. First, over the engraved lines, I tape down 3 to 3.5 mil plastic. Next, using a Sharpie marker, I trace these cut lines. Then, using a pounce wheel, I roll it along the drawn lines. This perforates the plastic, which will allow the chalk dust to go through the holes, so later the dots can be connected. After placing the template, take a sock and fill with orange, white, chalk, or even baby powder. Don't use red or blue framers chalk because it'll permanently stain the concrete. Next, take your pounce bag and pat the perforated lines gently. And then lightly rub. This will ensure a good transfer. Next, remove the template and carefully set it aside. Now remove the quick draw chalk holder and connect the dots. It's as easy as that.